All right, so today was really all about Nasdaq going up, mainly led by Nvidia squeezing after hours yesterday and continuing that squeeze pre-market. And from the open, I actually shorted a tiny bit the open and then added to it as it failed its sort of intraday ascending line. So that was okay. What was it, like 380 something, 85 or more average? Small position though, because I'm not really into starting a short, but that was just a bit too obscene. But anyway, markets, Nasdaq up, rates up. Okay, so aside the Nasdaq, markets are a bit sort of flattish, let's say overall. But okay, Nasdaq aside, rates up, dollar up, commodities down, gold, silver, miners down. That's the way I would summarize it. Let's take a look at the market. So S&P was actually up a little bit. I expected further downside, even though we had two pretty significant moves down. But I mean, look, Nvidia, and it's really mainly Nvidia, just the ridiculous short squeeze just forced the Nasdaq up, which obviously helped the other markets go up, but including the S&P. So the S&P was up a little bit. I wouldn't call it a decisive move. It's not like it closed at incredible levels. It just moved up because it was forced to. So where's the market going to go next? I don't know, but it's not really a bullish setup. It's not really bearish either. It's middle of the road, but everyone understands why it happened. The Nasdaq, I mean, this is just pure news gap up stuff, and it's because of Nvidia. So I think this is a blow off top on the Nasdaq. Famous last words, but I'm sorry, it's next resistance, if you really think it's going to get there, is 347. I don't think that the Nvidia is going to break its high of day tomorrow. I mean, today's high of day tomorrow. I think we've seen the top. It was just a blow off short squeeze, and I think some shorts got back in, like me. Very small amount. It's like 5-10 shares for me on Nvidia. Nothing crazy. Anyway, Dow Jones. Aside what the Nasdaq and the S&P is doing, Dow Jones was red today, and it actually was redder. It closed decently off its lows, but still red. And that's because of the ugly candle yesterday. I did say that was a pretty bearish candle. So it doesn't surprise me too much that it wasn't able to go green. The Russell 2000, it's almost as if the Nasdaq wasn't up. Not a crazy down day, but still ventured down to that low level, bounced just from that level roughly. So let's see. I don't know what news we have tomorrow, but I just expect more downside, honestly, especially after this crazy squeeze has happened. So I would say markets, total schizophrenic. You have the S&P and the Nasdaq that have been outperforming out of the other four, out of the four in total. They were up, but the two weakest ones were down. So kind of average day almost. Let's look at the banks. The banks were red despite the strength in the S&P and the Nasdaq. Which makes sense because honestly, the banks have been not following the Russell, but they've been weak like the Russell. So they're trying to find a little bit of a bottom because they've had a bit of a drop. So XLF sort of sideways, really unchanged. KBE, which has been outperforming or not underperforming at least, that was also kind of sideways. I wouldn't say that's really a down day. So that's interesting. Are they trying to find the small support and then launch back up? Let's see. For that, you kind of need the other markets to perform. But yeah, the banks, I'd expect them to be lower than they were today. So are we trying to squeeze out of this downtrend and have a bit of a short squeeze in the banking sector? Let's see. I think the banking sector is very weak fundamentally. So I'd watch out on trying to play this short squeeze, even though I love this type of a setup. Let's see what happens. But look, interest rates, the most important thing. Look at the 1 year. My God, it happened so much quicker than I thought. I mean, I thought we were going to test 5.3, but I thought it would take 2, 3, 4 days more. Here we are already there. I mean, what is it, the 1 month, or I've seen these above 6% already, So the shorter term yield is really, really high. And for me, the 1 year is really fascinating to watch. So very strong. A close above 5.3, and you're basically in trouble. The 2 year, very strong day, very strong day. I mean, this is really a vacuum. I'm not going to call this a level, this little gap area here. I just see no level until 5/5.1, the high. So do we get there in one go? Honestly, when we have candles like this, you can get there in 3-4 days. But I had expected at least a retracement back down to this area, but so far just up. So watch out, rates are going up. Look at the 5-year, and that was the weakest one, I think. Kept on going up. 10-year, look at that, it's looking for its 4%. The 30-year, it's already done 4%. Well, no, almost, but it will. So rates are really strong. And you know what? Looking at the other rates, look at the EU, ready to take out this level here. Normally I wouldn't call this sort of a level because we've broken it here, but it was really just a fake out. And you can see why I think this is actually a level. I said it 1, 2, 3, 4, including today, 5 times. So I think if we close above, well, we'll close above 2.5 already, but yeah, let's see. Let's see if we can test 2.8-ish. I think we're there very soon. 3, 4, 5, 6 trading days, we're there. So watch out. And let's look at some other ones. Look at the British, for example. Look at this. Remember, everyone, the yields are all the way down. Sunak, the Prime Minister, he's got an economics background or whatever, some finance crap. No, I knew it was crap. They will never get their finances under control, the governments. They don't know how to. They don't know how to. Look at the 30. I remember that got demolished. It looked like it would never go back up there. Double top, massive retracement. And then I remember following it a few times. But honestly, I stopped following it for the last like 2, 3 weeks or something. And now, with yields going up in the US, look at this. All of the yields are just going to go back up and test their highs. That's what created the banking crisis. So watch out. How can the markets keep going up when we've got like the same situation that caused the banking crisis? And the banking crisis is not over. It's just going to get worse. So for me, this is the most important thing. Not necessarily the British 30-year gilts or whatever they're called. It's the US, the US 2-year, the 10-year, the 30-year, the 1-year, the 6-month, the 1-month. Those things are going to destroy all of the heavily indebted companies, banks, individuals, residential mortgage, residential housing, commercial real estate. It's all based on debt, and it's so obvious. It's just you're waiting for it to happen before you can say it was obvious. That's interest rates. Let's look at the dollar. Same thing, going up with interest rates. Didn't surprise me. We had such a strong close at high of day. I still think we're going to go up. I don't know, tomorrow, do we have a bit of a sideways red day? It doesn't matter. Where do I think we're going? 105. 105. I think and hope. Who cares about what I hope? That's not a strategy. I think we will start to fade at 105. I think at 105, we'll sort of drop a little bit, and then it'll be very important to see what happens. Also, understand what's going on elsewhere, because then people say the dollar's fading because, I don't know, rates are going down because some Fed speaker, Powell, said that the pause is in. Let's see, technicals have a way of lining up with news or coinciding with perfect timing with news. So let's see what the narrative is in different sectors around that time that we get to 105 on the DXY. But I think we're going to get there, which means, and I'm done on the DXY because support's just going to be the white lines. Support will be, well, if we go back down now, I don't think it'll be 103. We'll probably go lower, but if we go all the way up to 105 and retrace, watch out, 103.5-ish should act as support. We'll see when we get there. But honestly, I'm just interested in resistance on the way up, and it's quite simply 105 to 106. You can see those lines. Commodities, though, copper, bouncing on the line, not the best line to bounce from, just underneath the ascending, but it's kind of outperformed, I would say, today, what you would expect. The dollar was still up. Look, the metals got smashed, but copper got smashed yesterday, and then it bounced slightly on this support zone that I identified. I drew it before. So it makes sense that or at least I understand why we didn't flush more below it. We bounced on it, but let's see if the DXY really is going to go to 105. Maybe we do need to go a bit low in copper, but copper also follows the markets, and the markets were, well, as you know, S&P and Nasdaq were up, but Dow Jones and Russell were down. I think copper follows the Dow more, but with the S&P, you can understand why it wasn't necessarily down. So that's copper. Let's see. It's not the strongest chart. lost ascending support, but at least we bounced just underneath ascending. Natural gas, honestly, I would have expected a bit more of a bounce today. I thought it would continue after this green candle. Let's see. I'm not sure if there was some natural gas news. I think there was actually some weather expectations, but whatever. No one can get the weather right. I just think technically gas needs to go up to 3. I think we've made a stand here, you know, popped our head above. It would be very, very rare and strange to see a pattern where we go all the way back down, even though anything's possible. So I still think we're going to reverse and go up, but we have lost the ascending. We're close below it. So I'll delete it. It's not really relevant anymore. And you know what? I could even delete this line now at this point. Let's just see what happens. Simple resistance on the way up and support on the way down. I favor the way up. Oil, red. It's middle of the range, you know. Every time I watch oil, I think, look, support's down here, resistance is up there. Long term, I think we go all the way up. But if we start to go lower, it's really primed for a flush, you know, one of those sort of forced stops to get triggered just under 64, and then see how low it goes. And then obviously you'll have the machines buy it back up. And then it's a question of how good is that buying just underneath. So oil, very, very interested to see which way that goes. Uranium, I'm a bit like oil, you know, long term, I think it goes all the way up. But look, today is actually a lot more significant than you think, or at least for me, because, you know, we've got pennants within pennants. It's really like a riddle within a riddle. But here, you know, finally it broke out. Then it retraced. I thought, okay, I understand it retraced, and I think it was coinciding with some market retracement or whatever. But I was looking for another move up, and this move up that we had up here, that surprised me. That was quite strong. And even the day after, I thought, no, that was so strong. I think we're going to go all the way up here and then retest and basically break out. But then we had drop. And today's drop is a close below all of these candles. And it's just too much of a drop to suggest, no, we're really going back up. It's just like, there's just too much selling. And now we're back into the sort of ascending pennant. You know, I thought we were outside of that. And if it looks like uranium's going down with the markets, can I say that? I mean, it's not like uranium follows the Nasdaq. It's more like uranium follows the Dow. So it's just not enough strength. And I really thought there would be more follow through here. So if you zoom out, we're getting tighter to a decision. You can tell something's going to happen imminently. And I would love it to go all the way back down and close, because I'm not in it and I want to be in it. And I mean, I've been saying that the whole time, but I was pretty sure we're going to break out. But to be honest, after today's candle, it's just lost that edge, that strength. You know, that the trend is your friend. Now the trend is not so sure. So let's see what happens. Just like oil, I haven't bought any. I mean, I got one oil stock, but it's not really following oil. But uranium, for example, I have no uranium stock, no skin in the game. I want it crushed because I want to buy it, basically. So I hope it goes lower. And today, I'm very reassured that I may not have missed the train. Gold and silver. So the dollar went up, rates went up, gold went down. I did think that gold would flush this 1950, and it did it quite early. I actually thought that would happen, to be honest, like an early flush, which happened when the dollar went up. And then it was really, I think it did coincide with some news like, oh, we're gonna make debt ceiling agreement. There was some chatter of both parties being close to a deal, and then boom, smash, that was that. And then you can see how we moved back up and we were rejected at prior support. So support was, 1950-ish. We flushed right through, and then it acted as resistance. So now today, we basically closed at the lows, like 1940. So now price support is resistance for now. Let's see, we can always get back up there the next day, but it's interesting to see the technicals working perfectly as they should. It's reassuring. So, when you look at the daily candle, you just see a flush. But if you look intraday, it was a flush, a retest, and a confirmation that the flush has taken place. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to see that. I just like to see some reassurance with the technicals. But for me, this line over here is the real line in the sand. It's not necessarily the horizontal one, actually. Sorry, it's more the ascending. Now, I think we're basically at the ascending. I know we're off it by maybe $10, and you could really zoom in, get a bigger screen, and really make sure you have the ascending perfectly, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a general area. So for me, if we bounce from here, which I don't think we're going to do, I still think the dollar is going to go up a bit higher. I think gold will go a little lower. But if we don't, you could still say that this is ascending support, and if we go 10, even $20 lower, same thing, we're still at ascending support, even if we go to 1920, obviously we close a little higher. I mean, for me, ascending support is really just above 1930. So, and to be honest, we were venturing in the 30s. I think it was like 1938 or 37 at some point. So we're basically there, But still, I do think the dollar could go a little higher. So watch out for another mini flush in gold. But otherwise, I think that we're at ascending support. I think it will hold. I think we'll bounce from there, and then we'll see what happens. That's what I was waiting for to judge silver. Silver, I did say that I didn't think we'd get all the way down here and that we'd bounce before then. And to be honest, let's say we have another flush in gold. It could take silver maybe to 22. That's quite a big drop. That would indicate gold being much lower than the ascending. But I don't know. I can just imagine silver having a bit of a flush and gold not. 3% is quite a bit for gold not to move. But yeah, I just think gold and silver could move a little lower one last time before really bouncing, which should coincide with the dollar sort of topping out at 105 or maybe just below 105. That's what I think is going to happen. So I'm not going to cover upside because I think it's more important and more imminent that we test the downside. When it comes to the miners, they also have their ascending support. Now, I did say GDXJ is more likely to hit its ascending support before GDX because it gets destroyed quick on the way down. That's kind of what happened today. GDXJ was, again, I know we're not inch perfect. We haven't touched, 33.5, 35.5, which seems to be the ascending support. But we did seem to touch, let's say, 35.8, which is the same thing. So we're pretty much at ascending support. But what I do think is going to happen is that the GDX is going to go and test its ascending support. So I did say that I expect GDXJ to actually go below its ascending. So therefore, I expect GDX, I expect all of the metals, gold, silver, and the miners to actually go down a little bit more one more time. Will it be tomorrow? I don't know. Yes. If it's not tomorrow, it's Monday or Tuesday, but lower than they are now, which means the GXJ will go below its ascending. But I think the GDX will bounce just above. So maybe, well, I'm not going to say 30 because we're there, but let's say 29.5-ish on the GDX. GDXJ, let's say 35. Gold, just to finish everything off, let's say, 1930-ish, maybe 1923, it could go below. And silver, no idea, let's say 22 point something, 22.2. You know what I mean? Just a bit more of a drop, and some dropping more than others. That's what I expect. And yeah, I hope that was useful. Let's see what happens tomorrow. So good luck.